Hey, how's it going, guys? So if you guys seen on my channel, I reacted to the cinematic trailers for Destiny 1 and 2. I don't know if it's all of them still because the video hasn't been released yet. So if you guys can check out that video, and if there's any trailers I missed, please put it down in the comments below and I'll get to them when I can. But this video, I just pretty much kind of searched on my own because every time I jump into a new universe, first I check out the trailers, see the content a little bit, and then after that I try to find a video that kind of summarizes and explains that universe, kind of like how I went to SCP Foundation. When I started SCP Foundation, the very first video that was recommended to me was SCP Overlord, and I checked it out. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. So I decided to dive deeper into there, and I did find videos, but it was also recommended to me. I also found videos that explain what the SCP Foundation is, what the universe is, groups of interest, anomalies, entities, things like that. So this video is the entire story of Destiny summarized in 40 minutes. So I'm going into this completely blind because, like I said in the cinematic trailers reaction video, I don't know what Destiny is. I really don't know. Besides, there's cool designs, and also that one bald character that was shown, that pale bald character, I think his name is the Commander. I know he's voiced by Lance Riddick because when Lance Riddick, rest in peace, when he passed, the number one thing that people have been putting in comment section or anything, because they usually put it in reference to the biggest or major characters that they played. So one thing they put him was the concierge for John Wick, but they say rest in peace Commander, and it led to that character in Destiny. So I guess the character that he played in Destiny plays a huge part of how he got put on the map, or just how his popularity spread, because I'm pretty sure he was already well known before the game came out. But anyways, let's check out the story of Destiny.
Starting from the very beginning, this video will cover the entire story of Destiny. This lore is fascinating, and a recap like this also provides important context to what is actually happening in the modern-day version of the game. I am working on a longer version of this video that will come out soon, but for now, this will cover all of the most important stories and lore from the past 10 years of the Destiny franchise. So from the very origins of the universe to the conclusion of the Light and Darkness saga, this is the story of Destiny.
By the way,
there was once
guys,
an ancient civilization.
By the way, guys, if you can hear that in the background, like a little wind or something like that, that's the air conditioning on, because right now it's really hot outside and the air conditioning hasn't even stopped. So I just want to let you guys know if you guys hear a little bit of wind, but I'm trying to cut out the audio as much as possible. Oh, man, I hate it when the app does that.
That was struggling to survive. Their struggle came to an abrupt halt, though, when they found a giant paracausal orb, which they called the Gardener. It was an entity of light and life. The Gardener blessed them with a golden age of prosperity. Despite the gifts that were bestowed on them, they craved something else. They craved a purpose and meaning. They wanted a winnower to shape the garden that had been created, to cut away the unfettered chaos that is found in the light. The people discovered that there was another entity called the Veil that shared a connection with the Gardener, and the Veil was an entity of darkness. The light and darkness are two ancient forces that flow through the universe, and the people believed that bringing the Veil to their planet would bring structure and meaning to their existence. So they brought the Veil to their home to connect with the Gardener, with hopes of creating that final shape of reality where only perfection would remain. The Gardener would not allow this, however, and it fled their world. Left with only the Veil, the people used the power of the darkness to merge themselves into one single being. They became an entity called the Witness, which would then set off across the universe with its Black Fleet. The Witness set off in pursuit of the Gardener with the goal of enacting its perfect final shape, to ultimately impose meaning on a meaningless universe. For untold time, the Gardener would travel from world to world, fleeing from the darkness. Along the way, it would terraform worlds and grant blessings to its inhabitants. These blessings, however, were often short-lived, only lasting until the darkness arrived. In some cases, though, the Witness was a step ahead, and it would arrive at a new world before the Gardener could move in and bless the species. One such world was called Fundament, where a weak species called the Krill was struggling to survive on a violent world. The witness arrived first and tricked the Krill into
Whoa.
embracing the power of the darkness. They were granted great power.
Wait, I just want to say that the witness is the design of it is really cool. Like it just looks like a mask, but the smoke, kind of like the smoke or cloud that like comes out, instead of just like a shapeless smoke, it comes out as faces. I say that's really cool design. Wow, amazing.
But it was a cursed existence. They became infected with worms that needed to be fed with destruction or else they would consume their hosts. Now acting in perpetual service to their worms, the Krill became known as the Hive. These Hive were led by 3 siblings, Oryx, Savathûn, and Xivu Arath. Together, they went from system to system and annihilated countless civilizations in order to feed their worms. The Gardener would later find its way to the Reese system, the home of the Elixni. They were given great blessings, just like many other worlds, and the Elixni decided to call the Gardener the Great Machine. Eventually, though, as with all worlds, the Gardener eventually fled, and the Elixni, now known as the Fallen, experienced what they call the Whirlwind, and it was a terrible, apocalyptic time for the species. The Fallen left the Reese system in pursuit of the Gardener. Eventually, around the year 2014, the Gardener arrived here in the Sol system. It terraformed many planets and moons, human lifespan tripled, and it brought life to everything. This included Mars, and once humanity detected the Gardener on Mars, we sent out a small crew to investigate the strange moon-like structure. Due to its odd movements, we called it the Traveler, and it would give humanity our own golden age.
Oh, so we colonize Mars.
The Black Fleet and the darkness would arrive. In all of the past situations like this, the Traveler decided to flee the darkness, but in this case, it decided to remain in Sol and finally make a stand. During the ensuing battle, Savathûn, one of the 3 Hive siblings, betrayed the witness by killing its disciple Nezarec, as well as hiding the veil on Neptune. Savathûn then tricked the witness into leaving the system entirely. However, the Traveler collapsed and became dormant just above the last city on Earth. As a final act, it created the Ghosts, and these small entities of light would seek out deceased warriors throughout the system, resurrect them, and give them the ability to bear the powers of the light. Humanity fell into a dark age, not only engaging in civil war.
Okay, so that explains a lot more, because in the cinematic trailers video that I saw, I said that there's like tiny little, those kind of like the tiny little drones that keep on like following each person. I was wondering, like, is that just like a part of the game, or is it like a character, like customization for like each character or something like that? But that explains a lot more. But I did not know that they could resurrect. Wow, that is so cool.
But also having to fight back against the enemy races of the Hive, Fallen, Cabal, and Vex. Humanity would remain in darkness for centuries. In about the 35th century, our Guardian awakened in the Cosmodrome of Old Russia for the first time after our ghost found us scattered among the remains of an old freeway. As is usual for freshly resurrected Guardians, we had no memory of our past or where we came from. Our ghost guided us into the Cosmodrome wall, where we were able to scavenge for our first few weapons, fight off waves of Fallen, and find an old jump ship that we were able to salvage. Upon reaching the tower, we met the Vanguard, leaders of the defense of the last city. They are led by Zavala, who represents the Titans, Ikora for Warlocks, and Cade 6 for Hunters. We also met the Speaker, who gave us a briefing on our history with the Traveler and our never-ending battle with the Darkness. We set out across the solar system to fight against the darkness while also being watched by a shadowy figure called the Stranger. We finally met her on Venus, where she told us that we have to travel to the Black Garden. There, at its heart, was an imperfect replica of the Veil. We had to go there to destroy it in order to allow the Traveler to heal after its collapse. In order to access the Black Garden, however, we needed to seek help from the Awoken of the Reef, a region within the asteroid belt. There we met with the Queen Marasav and her brother Uldren. They did not give us the warmest of welcomes, but they did agree to help. After acquiring some parts, Uldren created a key that allowed us to access the Black Garden on Mars. There we found the Vex worshipping the heart of the Black Garden. It brought the statues of the shrine to life, but we defeated them, and this destroyed the heart. With our objective complete, the traveler was still dormant, but now it was healing. We were heralded as a hero back in the last city, but as the stranger gifted us her rifle, she reminded us that the real fight is
That's a
still
cool
out
rifle.
there. Eris Morn, an expert of Hive lore, came to the tower to warn us of an impending Hive invasion of the moon. They were trying to awaken Crota, the son of Oryx the Taken King. We needed to take the fight to Crota and defeat him before another great disaster could occur. Eris was once a member of the fire team that tried to defeat Crota, and she was the only member to survive the horrors that lie below. We cleared out some of the advanced forces in the Cosmodrome, including infestations inside some of the facilities of the great AI known as Rasputin. We then traveled to the moon and destroyed a crystal containing Crota's soul, holding off the invasion and resurrection for now. Crota, however, still existed in his throne world, a sort of refuge in the Ascendant Plane. We needed to find a way to defeat him in that realm if we wanted to defeat Crota for good. So we assembled a fire team of 6 and went back into the depths of the Hellmouth, entered his throne world, and defeated him, eliminating the great threat that had already caused so much destruction for humanity. With one threat neutralized, Queen Marasov of the Reef reached out to ask for help. The Fallen's House of Wolves were previously captured by the Reef, but now they had rebelled, led by the Kel Skolas. A Kel is a leader of a fallen house, and after being freed by a mysterious race called the Nine, Kel Skolas was up to no good. We worked alongside Petra Venge, the Queen's Wrath of the Awoken, as well as Varix, a friendly Elixni and scribe for the former House of Judgment. Together, we worked to prevent Skolas from uniting all of the remaining fallen houses and becoming the Kel of Kels. We waged war against the Fallen and eventually tracked Skolas to Venus. We managed to trap him and bring him back to the Prison of Elders. Inside the prison, Skolas managed to start a riot, but we were called in to go put an end to this riot and to Skolas himself. Word had reached Oryx, the Taken King, about our defeat of his son Crota, and he was none too pleased.
I know these are expansions, by the way.
He arrived in the Sol system with his massive ship called the Dreadnought, as well as his army of Hive and Taken. The Taken are forces corrupted by the darkness. They have no will, and their work is only to serve their master. The ability to take or corrupt is an extremely dark power learned by Oryx, stolen from the worm god Akka. The first major battle took place in orbit around Saturn, where Oryx used the Dreadnought's superweapon to annihilate the Awoken forces, including Queen Mara herself. Cade 6 then found a way to get us inside of Oryx's ship in order to try to take out this weapon. Once this objective was achieved, we set our sights on Oryx himself. We first fought him in our world, and then, just like his son before him, we raided his throne world and put him to his final death, sending his corpse floating towards Saturn. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Fallen had gained access to an ancient human technology called SIVA. This was an extremely dangerous nanotechnology with the ability to self-assemble, replicate, and think. It could be used to create basically anything, but could also be extremely destructive. SIVA had been locked away due to the danger it posed and since it caused such great damage to the Iron Lords. We worked with Lord Saladin, one of the last remaining Iron Lords, to fight against the newly augmented Fallen called Splicers.
Oh yeah, he's the
one
with
We made our
the
way
wolves.
into the original replication chamber, where many Iron Lords had sacrificed their lives to contain SIVA in the first place, and we destroyed the chamber, finally ending the threat. The Red Legion of the Cabal, led by their leader Dominus Gaul, attacked the last city.
Alright, so I know that it said Destiny 2, so now that means we're pretty much going into the second game. So what I'm getting right now from Destiny 1 is there's like a lot of development of the gardener like moving around and giving blessings and just like helping civilization, while there's like an anti-gardener, the Witness, who basically just goes around and like destroys everything. So overall, I don't know why, but it kind of like reminds me of like maybe this could be a possible future, because it said the humans like managed to colonize Mars, and that is technically what people are trying to do right now. Elon Musk with SpaceX, because now we went to the moon and now we're gonna go to Mars. And every time I think of Mars, it kind of reminds me of the game Red Faction Guerrilla, because that's basically what happened. But overall, so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. The game kind of reminds me of somewhere like a mixture of Borderlands and Halo, because Halo is because of like the first person shooting, and also like like the colors of the shields and all that, and Borderlands because it's out in space, just like Halo. But I don't know. Those are like the two games that kind of came to my mind when I saw this. But anyways, let's jump into Destiny 2.
City of Earth. Gaul
That's just
put
my
a
thoughts.
harness around the Traveler, removing our Guardian's ability to use the light. Gaul also captured the Speaker, a very old mentor of Guardians. He wanted the Speaker to teach him how to convince the Traveler to grant him the power of the light. Meanwhile, desperate for a way to fight
Guy
back,
looks like an
our
orc.
Guardian found a shard of the Traveler near the European Dead Zone and used it to get our light abilities back. We proceeded to travel to Titan, Nessus, and Io in order to reunite the Vanguard and wage a war against the Red Legion. All the while, Gaul was still interrogating the Speaker and trying to get access to the light. But eventually, Gaul's console got tired of waiting and eliminated the Speaker. The console believed that Gaul should simply be taking the light for himself instead of trying to learn how to make the Traveler gift it to him. Angry, Gaul killed the console, and with the Speaker now dead as well, he decided to go ahead and use the cage around the Traveler to take the light by force.
He kind of looks like the Black Tower
onto
from
Gaul's
Shadow
command
War.
ship, and he
Shadow
was now
Mordor.
using the light powers that he had stolen from the Traveler. We defeated him, but Gaul tried to revive himself with his stolen powers. However, right in the middle of his resurrection, the Traveler awakened and fired out a shockwave of light all across the universe, which destroyed Gaul and restored abilities to all of the other Guardians.
Whoa, that was bright.
This was a great win for us, but this shockwave also had dire consequences. It awakened the Witness's dark fleet in the far corners of the universe. During this time, Emperor
man.
Callus also arrived in the Sol system. He was the former emperor of the Cabal before he was dethroned by Gaul. We boarded his massive Leviathan ship and passed
like
his trials
Jabba the
before
Hutt's
defeating
cousin.
a giant animatronic figure that was made in his image. The Warlock Vanguard Ikora showed us a damaged ghost by the name of Sagira. She told us it belonged to Osiris, one of the greatest warlocks to ever live. However, Osiris had been living in exile for some time, so she sent us to Mercury to investigate.
I
There we
remember this
met
trailer.
Brother Vance, a cultist who told us how we can revive Sagira. We took her to a hidden temple in the European Dead Zone in order to revive her. We learned that Osiris had been investigating the Infinite Forest on Mercury, and this is a Vex installation used to run simulations of various possibilities. We entered the forest and found a reflection of Osiris who explained that the Vex mind Panoptes was running simulations to try to create a dark future where humanity is defeated and neither light nor darkness exists anymore. All life is lost in this future, so Osiris asks for our help in defeating Panoptes to avoid this dark future. We searched throughout the timelines, which proved to be challenging, but eventually with
There's
the
a lot of
help of
bright lights.
Osiris's reflections, Panoptes fell. Together, we exited the Infinite Forest with Osiris, where he saw his former student Ikora for the first time in many years. She invited him back to the city, but he said he must remain in the forest to stop the Vex from finding a different path to the dark future. Before we left Mercury, our ghost picked up a weak signal coming from the Infinite Forest, and Brother Vance thought it might belong to the legendary Titan, Saint 14. He sent us into the forest to try and locate him, as we had done with Osiris before. Inside, we found the remains of Saint 14, along with thousands of dead Vex. In that specific version of the future, he lost his battle, but the Vex had built a memorial to him, seemingly in awe of the great warrior that he was.
Damn, look at that. That looks cool.
On
though.
Mars, the Guardian named Anna Bray had been hiding away working to learn more about the AI warmind Rasputin, as well as her family's past. When the Traveler awoke and shot out that massive shockwave of light across the universe, it also awoke a slumbering force of Hive on Mars that were led by the Hive worm god Zol. We traveled to Mars to assist Anna in winning back the Warmind facilities with the hopes that the Warmind might help us in our battle against the darkness. In our quest to find Zol, we encountered Nokris, brother of Crota, who was banished by his father Oryx due to his heretical practice of necromancy. We defeated him and then set our sights on Zol. Together, with the help of the Warmind's Javelin weapon system, we were able to defeat them. We then went to talk
That's
with
cool.
Rasputin, and he asserted that he will continue to protect humanity, but only on his own terms and not the Vanguard's. Trouble was once again brewing in the Reef. With the absence of Queen Mara Sov, organized crime had been breaking out all over the asteroid belt, Also, her brother, Oldrinsov, became corrupted by a taken wish dragon, an Ahamkara named Riven. There was a massive jailbreak in the Prison of Elders, and the now corrupt Oldrinsov rallied his own army of the Scorn Barons who were escaping. The Scorn are a corrupt, undead version of the Fallen who were also created by Riven. In an effort to stop this disastrous outbreak, our Hunter Vanguard Cade 6 joined Petrovenge in the prison. Unfortunately, during the conflict, Cade's ghost was destroyed by the Scorn, leaving him vulnerable with no hope of resurrection should he fall. Ultimately, in his weakened state, having lost his connection to the light, he was put to his end at the hands of Uldren. Angered by Cade's murder, we traveled to the Tangled Shore in the reef to investigate and work with a shady Elixni by the name of Spider. He was frustrated by the havoc the Scorn had caused his business, so he agreed to help us find Oldrinsov if we first defeated the Scorn Barons one by one. After doing so, and after defeating Uldren's number one in command, Fikrul the Fanatic, we entered the Awoken Watchtower in pursuit of Oldrinsov. Uldren was consumed by the voice of Riven that was corrupting him, and we fought back against this horrifying creature. Upon its defeat, we find Oldrinsov on the ground and pick up Ace of Spades, the weapon that Uldren had stolen from Cade. Together with Petrovenge, we confronted Uldren and put him to his end. We proceeded to find our way into the hidden Awoken homeworld of the Dreaming City. There, we hunted down and defeated the taken Ahamkara Riven and cleansed her taken heart. However, at the same time, Riven was able to transcend death and make one final wish that would put the Dreaming City under a curse. We emerged and found that the Dreaming City was now corrupt by the Taken. For 3 weeks, we battled against the Taken as the Dreaming City became more and more corrupt. Eventually, thinking we had won, we found a way to access the throne world of Marasov,
we got bow and arrow in this game too?
She is actually still alive. We declared victory, but were quickly corrected as we learned that the Dreaming City was stuck in a constant time loop, where history continued to repeat itself again and again. Around the same time, a mysterious lightbearer going by the name of Drifter showed up at the tower and started using Guardians to play this dangerous game that he called Gambit. This game controversially made use of Motes of Darkness to summon Taken into a Guardian versus Guardian competition. An exo by the name of Ada-1 also showed up in the tower as the last remaining member of the Black Armory Foundry. The Red War had left the Foundry without access to their forges, so she enlisted us to clear out the forges of enemies and allow them to reopen in order to craft their weapons. We worked all over the system to do this, and while doing so, we slowly earned her trust and weapons. We then went into the Batsa district of the last city, where the Fallen, led by the Spider's brother Civics, were attempting to gain access to the Black Armory vault. There we defeated Insurrection Prime and thus secured the vault. We tracked Civics down to Niobe Labs, which contained the Berguzia Forge, and there we faced off and defeated Civics. This helped us secure Ada-1's full trust and allowed us to craft the powerful Izanagi's Burden sniper rifle. Separately, a solitary ghost named Pulled Pork was still looking for its guardian, and it had found its way into the Dreaming City. It came across the grave of Uldren and resurrected him as a guardian. Uldren renamed his ghost Glint, and since becoming a guardian wipes all memory, Uldren had no knowledge of his past crimes. Things started to quiet down for a little bit, but Drifter had been hard at work and he had...
Okay, I just want to give my thoughts on so far what I've been seeing. So, right there, the guy was resurrected, and I guess that's his chances, like a chance of redemption, even though he did some things. But so far, there's like so many new factions that, not factions. There's so many new groups, so many new like enemies and allies that this is gonna take some time to like actually like commit into memory. But so far overall, I do like what I'm seeing, like the armor designs, the sci-fi and everything, because I really like sci-fi. And on top of that, I know I watched like all the trailers that like explain the game itself and the expansions in the cinematic trailers video that I saw. But now he's going into detail. But even though it looks like the gameplay is all good, it looks like the story itself is like online play only, kind of like the game The Division, because the Division game is online play only. There's no offline play, and I'm a little iffy on those kind of games because I'm not let me rephrase, not iffy. I prefer offline playing because I don't have the best internet connection, and also I don't have unlimited data, so that's why. So if Destiny's online play only, damn. But either way, I really like what I'm seeing so far. Let's continue.
Invited us to participate in a new variation of his game mode called Gambit Prime, as well as a new activity known as the Reckoning. We met Orin, emissary of the Nine, and learned that the Drifter had been playing these games of Gambit at bequest of the Nine as they prepare for the coming darkness. Emperor Callus made another appearance and invited us to board his Leviathan ship for further testing and rewards, this time in his Menagerie. Callus had become obsessed with the arrival of the darkness and wished for us to become one of his elite shadows who would be there with him at the end of all existence. During our time in the Menagerie, we defeated many of his champions, but we learned that hidden within the Leviathan was another creature named Galron. Callus had come across an ancient Hive artifact called the Crown of Sorrow, and suspected that it was corrupted. In hopes of being able to control the Hive with this crown, Callus bred a cabal named Galron to be strong-willed and then put the crown on his head. This was indeed a trap laid by the Witch Queen Savathûn in hopes of corrupting Callus should he wear the crown. Instead, it was Galron who became corrupted, but this still invited a Hive infestation into the Leviathan. Callus called on us to clear out the infestation and defeat the corrupted Galron.
That's a big crown.
While exploring the moon, Eris Morn came across a hidden pyramid ship of the darkness, sleeping in the depths of a massive cave. With its discovery, the ship brought nightmares, haunting figures of friends and enemies long past. Eris instructed us to find a way inside. After facing nightmares of our prior enemies, we slowly forged a Dream Bane armor set that would allow us to enter the pyramid.
I like it. Everything's always a triangle or pyramid.
The pyramid seemingly possessed our ghost in order to talk to us. We explored the ship and captured an artifact that we brought back for Eris.
The Apple of Eden.
The darkness also showed as a haunting mirror image of ourselves, and told us that they are not our friend, not our enemy, but our salvation. At this time, the Vex began invading the moon, and we learned that the Undying Mind, which we had previously defeated, was behind this. We worked to construct a special Vex portal that could bring the Undying Mind from all timelines into ours, where we could finally defeat it for good. Osiris had been trying to find a way to navigate the corridors of time in order to bring his lover, Saint 14, back to life, and he created the Sundial in order to do so. However, his objective proved impossible until the Undying Mind's defeat, which opened up a new timeline that perhaps provided a better opportunity to save his dear friend. At the same time, a few Cabal Scion sisters discovered the Sundial. They wanted to use the Sundial in order to find a way to change the past and have the Cabal win the Red War and succeed in their invasion of the Last City. We intervened in order to prevent them from making this timeline a reality. In our quest to defeat these sisters, we also found a way to intervene during key moments in Saint 14's past, and we were able to find a way to save him and bring him back to modern times. We also experienced a strange moment when exploring the corridors of time and unlocking its puzzles, and strangely, we found our own grave, laid with our favorite weapon, Bastion. We proceeded to defeat 3 out of the 4 sisters, leaving just 1 remaining to try and see their plan through. The final remaining Scion sister resorted to desperate measures and sent the Red Legion's planet killer ship, the Almighty, into a collision course with the Last City. We joined up with Anna Bray to try and power up some of Rasputin's satellites and defense systems to take the Almighty down before it destroyed the final remnants of humanity. After bringing numerous Seraph bunkers online and expanding our defenses, we watched as the Almighty was destroyed by Rasputin shortly before it would crash into the Last City. During this time, Rasputin also revealed that many pyramid ships were quickly approaching our solar system, giving everyone an impending sense of doom. After a brief time, the pyramid ships arrived, and despite Rasputin's best attempts, they would not go down easily. The darkness tried to communicate with us, but something was getting in its way. Nokris, the brother of Crota, became the supplicant of the Hive Witch Queen Savathûn and taught her necromancy. She also tasked him with running interference so we could not commune with the darkness and learn of its powers. Eris believed that investigating the darkness was important for avoiding a second collapse, but Commander Zavala did not approve. He did eventually allow us to assist Eris though, and during our investigations, we were once again confronted by Nokris. We defeated him for the final time, and this allowed a path to open between us and the darkness itself. The darkness spoke to us once again through our ghost, and it invited us to Europa to take up its ancient power. As the darkness encroached on the Sol system, it consumed many planets, including Mars, Titan, Io, and Mercury. We decided to answer the call of the darkness, and we ventured to Europa, a moon of Jupiter. Our Elixni friend Varix was there, and he had sent out a distress call for help after finding a splinter of the darkness. While he was making the call, the Exostranger appeared and stole the splinter before quickly disappearing. Another Elixni by the name of Aramis was also here in search of the splinter, and she had been granted the power of stasis by the darkness. She confronted Varix and used the power of stasis to freeze him in place. However, we arrived and set him free before her minions could do away with him. To help us on our search for Aramis, the stranger gave us the splinter she had stolen from Varix and coached us about the darkness power she had learned to use. We communed with the darkness and slowly grew in our own use of stasis. We used its power to take down Aramis's lieutenants and eventually Aramis herself by turning her into a statue of stasis. We then worked with the stranger, now known to us as Anna's sister, Elsie Bray, to learn more about their past. In the process, we learned more about their extremely significant father, Clovis Bray, who founded Braytech, created the Exos, and built this massive facility on Europa. At this time, Oryx and Savathûn's sister, Xivu Arath, was wreaking absolute havoc. She destroyed Osiris's ghost, Sagira, while he was on the moon, leaving him very vulnerable and without his light. We went to the moon to rescue him, and as we were cleaning up the Hive, a familiar face dealt a final blow to a Hive Knight, saving Osiris's life. He introduced himself as Crow, but we knew him as none other than Ultron Sov. He said his boss wanted to see us and called us to the reef. The risen Guardian Uldren, now known as Crow, was basically a new person since he had no memories of his past life and wrongdoings. Despite this, every Guardian hated him and would kill him on sight. He felt like he had nowhere to go, but eventually he found the spider and began working for him. Crow took us to the spider, and together they asked us to assist in clearing out Xivu Arath's Wrathborn from the Tangled Shore. It turned out they had infected the Dreaming City as well, so together we worked to eliminate their forces. After defeating Xivu Arath's commanding High Celebrant, our Guardian tricked the spider into freeing Crow. We returned with him to the tower, not quite sure how people would react to seeing that face again. Callus's daughter, Keitel, who had a hand in Gaul's rise and Callus's exile, decided to come to Sol and have the Guardians join her empire. She was seeking help in her battle against the Hive because the Cabal homeworld had been destroyed by Xivu Arath's forces. Zavala refused her invitation, and tensions were very high. Osiris also assigned Crow to be his bodyguard, but urged him to keep at a distance with his mask on, as not to be recognized as the murderer of Cade 6. Eventually, Zavala agreed to challenge Keitel in the right of proving and picked us as his champion to face off against Keitel's top champion. We battled, and after we defeated her champion, Keitel agreed to a truce with the Vanguard. While undergoing a blood oath with Zavala, another Scion attempted to kill Zavala, and Crow's identity was revealed as he stepped in to protect him. Around this time, we stumbled upon an abandoned Cabal ship that seemed to be from Callus's fleet called the Glykon. We investigated the ship, but it was filled with nothing but scorn and some interesting flora. We eventually discovered the Crown of Sorrow was here and previously was used by Callus to communicate with the Witness, and Osiris decided to retrieve it despite
now I just see
dangers.
the crown.
We now had a newly forged alliance with Keitel's Cabal forces, but things were still not going very well. The last city had been plunged into an endless night by the Vex, and the sun did not rise for the first time in our history. Ikora asked us to collaborate with the friendly Elixni Mithrax, and he helped us navigate the Vex network to combat the Vex. Mithrax and his people were then invited to seek refuge in the Fallen Quarter and eventually the last city, and this was seen as a controversial choice in the opinions of some less trusting humans. The leader of Future War Cult, Lakshmi, was one of the most outspoken voices against these new residents, and unfortunately some crimes were committed against our new neighbors. We discovered that Savathûn, through the taken mind of Korea, was behind the endless night. The Guardians worked to defeat Korea so the sun could once again rise. When Korea was eventually defeated and the Elixni protected from the Vex incursion, a new alliance was forged between humanity and the Elixni. There were suspicions that Osiris may have been involved with the Endless Night, and so Ikora put out a warrant for his arrest. With the help of Crow and Saint 14, we went into the Dreaming City and found him alongside Mara Sov. Osiris then revealed that he was actually Savathûn, and she had taken his form after saving him from her sister Xivu-Arath. Morozov then put Savathûn into a chrysalis form at her request, which was essentially like transforming her into a cocoon. This was in an attempt to expunge
Stasis.
the worm from Savathûn, the worm that she had been in service to ever since she left Fundament. We then proceeded to work on freeing some of Morozov's Techeuns that were trapped in the Ascendant Realm while also fighting back Xivu-Arath's forces. After enough time had passed, Morozov performed the ritual to finally excise the worm from Savathûn. Savathûn's cocoon shattered and she instantly escaped, leaving a weakened Osiris in her place. Though thankful for his return, Osiris would be very ill and in a coma for some time, and there was no cure in sight. After her escape, Savathûn traveled to the last city to see the Traveler. She was gravely injured following the removal of her worm. She called out to the Traveler in her final moments, declaring herself as a supplicant in its service before she died. However, not all was lost for her, because she was soon resurrected by a ghost by the name of Amaru. Along with some of her Lucent Hive brood, Savathûn gained the powers of the light. Just like a guardian, though, she had lost her memory, so if she wanted to see her plans through, she needed to find a way to regain them. Strangely, Mars had returned from the darkness, and there, Savathûn's ship and an entrance to her throne world appeared.
Man, everyone's getting resurrected.
Ikora called us in to investigate. Along our journey, we came across a ghost named Finch who was refusing to revive his Hive Lightbearer and was instead trying to figure out what Savathûn was up to by using the light. In hopes of understanding what her plans were, Finch unknowingly sent us on a scavenger hunt throughout her throne world. We were searching for artifacts that ultimately allowed Savathûn to recover her memories that she lost when she was revived and became a Lightbearer. During the Vanguard's investigations of a worm familiar recovered from Savathûn's temple, Ikora learned of the history of the Hive, that they were not always destined for evil, but were originally supposed to be chosen by the light before the darkness intervened. Despite these learnings, the Traveler had disappeared from the last city, and it seemed that Savathûn had brought it into her.
Alright, so just a few more thoughts. Man, dude, these ghosts just like resurrect everyone, but the thing is, I'm still trying to figure out, so the ghosts, like, did they choose certain people to resurrect, or did they just like find a body and say like, all right, hey, I'm choosing you? And on top of that, the worms, man, dude, the worms look freaky. But anyways, it sounds like the worms were originally supposed to like do good, but they were corrupted by the witness before the Traveler even got there, which caused this whole mess. So that does make sense, but yeah. I mean, those are just my thoughts, and just I just want to put my 2 cents in. But we're nearly at the end, so this may be my last bit of thoughts that I want to put into this video.
Throne world. But this was something that the Vanguard could not allow. We ultimately battled Savathûn in order to rescue the Traveler, and during this time we revealed the truth about the Darkness's deception against her, something that she could not believe. We eventually defeated her, but her ghost Amaru escaped before it could be destroyed. The Vanguard took Savathûn's remains for safekeeping.
Yeah,
at this point,
the
witness was revealed to us for the first time. It called out the Traveler for all of the death that it had caused.
That is so freaky
looking. In Savathûn's
looking.
throne world, we discovered a pyramid ship, and inside was one of the witness's disciples named Rolk. We went in and defeated him, dealing the witness a major blow. Keitel agreed to use her forces to help battle against the Lucent Hive that had infected parts of the Sol system. She made use of her scions to wage psychic warfare against Savathûn's brood to sever their connection to the light and capture their leaders so they could learn about their goals. Crow raised ethical questions about this strategy and intervened with the equipment facilitating these operations, accidentally killing the scions in the process. Keitel demanded Crow's life as punishment, but Saladin stepped in and offered himself instead. Impressed, she decided to spare Crow, and she made Saladin a member of her war council, becoming Bracca's Forge. Around this time, we also learned that Callus had aligned himself with the Witness and the Black Fleet, and had been supporting the Scion faction that had previously attempted to assassinate Zavala. Callus's ship, the Leviathan, suddenly revealed itself above the moon. Guardians investigated and learned that the ship was now also haunted by nightmares. Eris Morn then conducted a Hive ritual binding us, Zavala, Crow, the Crown of Sorrow, and a Nightmare Harvester. We used the Harvester to take the nightmares haunting the allies, sever them, and then bind them to the Crown of Sorrow, weakening Callus's connection with the Lunar Pyramid. Despite their best effort, Callus immediately still took control of the pyramid, we rushed in with our team, and Keitel confronted her father's consciousness. Together with Keitel, we defeated it, but Callus, now a disciple of the Witness, was still a threat. Callus later sent a warning message to the last city and informed everyone that the Witness is coming for the Traveler and that it cannot be stopped. Drifter enlisted the Guardian to help smuggle the spider into the Elixni quarter of the last city. Once there, the spider asked us to go find his catch on Europa and take it back from the House of Salvation. We learned from Mithrax and his daughter, the scribe Ido, that Aramis had been released from her stasis prison by the Witness, and she was now trying to find relics which contained body parts of Nezarec. These relics were thought to be quite powerful, so the Guardians hunted them down to keep them away from the Witness. Ultimately, Mithrax used these relics to prepare a concoction to revive the sleeping Osiris. Anna Bray had been attempting to bring back the warmind Rasputin ever since Mars was consumed by the darkness. The forces of SIVA Arath infected Braytech on Europa, so we had to fight our way through in order to reach Clovis Bray's AI. Once online, Rasputin informed us of Clovis Bray's plans. Clovis wanted to use the Warmind to destroy the Traveler so that he himself could instead become humanity's savior, and obviously we could not let this happen. We also learned that Xivu Arath was preparing to invade Earth. Aramis, by order of the Witness, had gained control of the Warmind and had intended to use the Warsat network to destroy the Traveler. Sensing its impending destruction, the Traveler began to leave Earth. But while it was leaving, Rasputin asked Anna to activate his self-destruct sequence, destroying him, but in turn, preventing the Traveler's destruction. The plan was successful, Rasputin was destroyed, and therefore the Traveler stopped fleeing in low Earth orbit. Aramis, having lived through the whirlwind way back when the Traveler abandoned the Elixni, asked why the Traveler stayed. The Witness replied because it has nowhere else to run, as the pyramids were now on Earth's doorstep. We then received a hidden message from Rasputin that he had recorded before his destruction, and it revealed that a hidden city was on Neptune, where perhaps one of Savathûn's secrets could be found in order to help against the Witness. The Witness arrived at the Traveler and was given a vision of the location of the veil on Neptune, exactly where Savathûn had previously hidden it. The Witness then sent Callus and his forces to gain access to it. Working off of the intelligence provided by Rasputin's message, we also arrived on Neptune at this time along with Osiris. There we met the Cloudstriders Rohan and Nimbus, who were protecting a hidden human population that relied on the veil for their survival. We also discovered the power of Strand, and used it in our fight to prevent Callus's access to the veil. Callus first tried to construct a radial mast to help connect the Witness to the veil, but due to our efforts and Rohan's sacrifice, we were able to destroy it. Callus then tried to capture the veil by brute force. Keitel and her forces held him off for some time, but ultimately Callus pushed past them and made his way to the veil. It was there that we confronted him and ultimately defeated him for good. However, after his death, our ghost became possessed and forged a connection with the veil, providing a vital link that allowed the Witness to open a portal into the Traveler. The Witness then proceeded to enter the Traveler. This is where it hoped to forge its final shape, its perfect version of reality, and no one else was able to follow. During this time, Callus's Shadow Legion Cabal had been taking human prisoners. Despite not being Guardians, Devrim K, Amanda Holiday, and Mithrax began leading operations to rescue these captives. Since the Witness was now inside the Traveler and there was no clear way to follow it, we set out to help with their rescue. In order to break through their prisons, we would travel in and out of the Ascendant Plane. During one such mission, Aramis reached out to Mithrax and warned that if he proceeded with this particular rescue attempt, he would die. Despite her warning, Mithrax and Amanda Holiday decided to proceed. Mithrax found the prisoners, but then the facility went into lockdown. Amanda hotwired the facility to allow their escape, but moments later, an explosion took her life. During Mithrax's escape, Aramis also comes and places down some stasis to save Mithrax from the explosion. Zavala was particularly devastated by the loss of Amanda. She had sacrificed her life despite only having one to give. The Guardians continued to look for a way through the portal in the Traveler, but everything continued to fail. Titan had returned from the darkness, and Deputy Commander Sloan turned out to be alive but in trouble. We traveled there and discovered that she had been connecting with a giant sea leviathan named Asa. Asa wanted to help us in our fight against the Witness, so we worked to strengthen Sloane and Asa's connection so that she could communicate with us. Asa told us about the origins of the Witness and how it embodies an entire civilization that has been hunting the Traveler for millennia in order to create the final shape. We also learned that Savathûn was the only one who could help us find our way into the Traveler to pursue the Witness. It became clear that we needed to allow Savathûn's ghost, Amaro, to resurrect the Witch Queen, but he would only do that if the Guardians helped in defeating SIVA Arath. In order to do so, Eris Morn needed to become much stronger, so through the use of the Acolyte Staff, she underwent a ritual to become a Hive god herself. We became one of her acolytes and we tithed our tributes of war. Every enemy we defeated made her stronger. We continued to strengthen ourselves by battling against SIVA's forces and eventually by slaying one of her top soldiers. At this point, Amaro finally resurrected Savathûn, who was then immediately killed by Eris Morn. During this time, she briefly became the most powerful Hive who has ever lived due to enacting sword logic. Eris then used this power to banish SIVA Arath from her throne world, making her a mortal. Savathûn was then resurrected again and she departed, but she left her ghost behind. While she was flying though, our guardian noticed a pattern in her wings. A pattern that actually represented the 15th and final wish granted by Riven before her defeat a number of years ago. After discovering the 15th wish, we traveled to the Dreaming City to invoke it. The spirit of Riven appeared before us, but rejected our wish. It turned out that Riven was upset over the loss of all her eggs. In order for her to grant us that wish, Riven wished to strike a bargain. She asked for us to first recover some of her remaining eggs that had been lost throughout time. We accepted and began to recover her eggs scattered across the Ascendant Realm. Once all of the eggs had been recovered, Riven finally granted this last wish, creating a portal into the Traveler, but only one person could pass through. Due to his extremely strong connection with his sister, it was decided that Crow would be the single person to enter the Traveler. The plan is that he can use his strong connection with Mara Sov to form a bridge we can all cross. So Crow has gone through the portal and is now on his way inside the Traveler. As expected, Mara Sov can still feel his presence, so it's only a matter of time before we can follow. Although we've witnessed quite a story over these past 10 years, we've also seen some absolutely incredible weapons in the history of Destiny. From the reign of the original Galahorn to the dominance of the Brave Arsenal, these weapons have defined our experiences as Guardians, and that's why I recommend watching this video covering the entire evolution of Destiny's weapons. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this abridged version of Destiny's story.
Alright, so that was literally 40 minutes of him summarizing the entire story of Destiny. And I say he did an amazing job, but I know I didn't really say a lot of input or anything like that because I'm really new to the Destiny universe and I was just pretty much paying attention and listening, but it's gonna take some time for me to actually memorize all this and see what happens. He did mention another video at the end, which is a video that covers all the weapons in the Destiny universe, so I might check that out soon. But overall, great video, and if you guys have any other information about the Destiny universe, please put it down in the comments below. I would very much like to hear them and learn about them, because right now I'm still confused because there's only a few people I know, like Commander Zavala and some of the weapons and some of the armor designs here and there, because I've seen them in trailers or just on YouTube here and there. But I'm still gonna need a little bit more time. That's all I gotta say. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this this video of me just trying to understand the entire story of Destiny, and also hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video of maybe Destiny, Warhammer 40k, Star Wars, a gameplay video. And also thank you so much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are having an amazing day or night wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys next time.